We are back. Bronx Roots with Michael Preminger, David Hubler, and myself, half a Bronxite, Ralph Tycho, Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and I'd like to welcome both of you here this morning. Michael, condolences. Tell me about your mishpacha.
You mean what happened?
Your in-laws, your son's in-laws passed away.
My son-in-law, my son-in-law's in-laws.
Oh,
my son-in-law's mother. I'm sorry.
Okay.
My son-in-law's mother passed away, and so the family they left on Thursday morning because she was like on her last breath, so to speak, and she did pass yesterday morning. They landed Thursday in that horrific snowstorm that they had in New York.
Yeah, freak storm.
Thank God everyone was safe. It took them 3 hours from JFK to where they're staying on Long Island. So it was bad, but everybody.
But your grandson's T-ball game is naturally out of the question. So we have you this morning, and again, condolences to your family.
Thank you.
As I said on a previous podcast, mortality seems to be winning. And, stay that way.
Well, when you get to, I don't want to sound maudlin, but when you get to a certain age, the numbers are changing, the odds are changing.
You're right.
Yeah.
What? Either one of you have Netflix?
Yeah, I do.
There's a new, I don't know what you call it, series, 10-episode program called the Kaminsky Method. And it stars Michael Douglas, who's 74.
Right.
And Alan Arkin, who is 84.
Yeah, I love Alan Arkin.
So
he was so dry. Great movies in the 60s.
Oh, yeah. So this it deals. One episode dealt with the fact that Michael Douglas was peeing all the time, and had to go to the urologist, who is played by Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I saw that. Have you seen any of the episodes?
Yeah, I watched like the first 5.
Oh.
And it's fun.
All right, I'll try. I started watching House of Cards for the last season, and I figured I have to stick with it. I'd like to see how it ends.
Well, I think my listening and viewing has always been Larry David in the past few years.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
I think I've seen every episode and every outtake on YouTube, every interview with Larry David. A fascinating guy. Prolific with Seinfeld and.
That's for sure.
Incredible humor and as real as it gets, as far as I'm concerned, and I really enjoy him.
It's really interesting, you talk about sort of our topic du jour is always has something to do with the Bronx, but the Bronx and Brooklyn to a lesser extent, I might say, have always produced, not only really great comedians, but there's something in the water there that does that. I don't know what it is. I mean, you look at going way back, even to vaudeville. I think the one exception I can think of offhand is Johnny Carson from Omaha, some place out in the prairie. But so many of the comics who came up through vaudeville all had origins somewhere in the city.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
we can't discount the high percentage of comedians that come from Jewish roots beyond.
Oh, yeah. It almost goes without saying
Hackett,
that. No.
Michael Preminger, Buddy Hackett.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And
serious for a second. I don't think I ever mentioned on this airwaves 12 times on Carson, Michael?
No, 10.
10.
Well, that's double figures. That's good enough
Double
for me.
figures on the most person. For a comedian, and I was dabbled in it, hacked in it, as it were, in the 80s and 90s. To be on Carson once is an absolute career, a feather in your cap. For a comedian coming up, the idea of potentially getting on Carson was the dream, and to do it 10 times, Michael, whoa, huh?
It's sort of like Groundhog Day,
Yeah, but let's not forget someone like David Brenner.
Yes.
154 times.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, but 10 times, Michael. It's like somebody told me when I started doing comedy, well, there's George Carlin. How you going to be a comedian? How you going to be like them? Or you'll never be a George Carlin. You'll never be a Robin Williams or Richard Pryor. So that's not the idea. You be who you are.
Well, yeah, you can't be. You can't be someone like that.
That's true.
Right, and you take it as far as you can take it. And again, taking Carson into double figures, I'm genuflexing as I speak, Michael.
Oh,
you can't hear it on the radio.
Very kind.
There you go. So my theory is why there are so many Jews in comedy, just as there's many blacks doing comedy. Richard Pryor and David Chappelle, funny guys. I think you have to cry before you can laugh. Does that make sense?
Well, it's also crying, I think. It's laughing to avoid crying. That's another twist.
Right. Yeah. Or you see things. You have to see the basic common denominator with people, and Jews, laughing to avoid crying. We've always heard that. So I got to tell you a funny joke, and I remember picking this up, hearing this for the first time on the records. Do you remember them? You don't have to be funny to enjoy.
Oh yeah.
Right, but you don't have to be Jewish to enjoy all these great comic voices, these great character voices, combined to just tell Jewish jokes. Do you guys remember the name of that album?
No,
I never heard of it. I don't believe.
Oh, it's a very fun. I don't remember the name, but it's and the announcer, like Frank Gallo.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah, one of the great NBC guys that
voices. Yeah.
Voices, and so many of the jokes come to mind, but we were talking about mortality, and this was about as fun. I think I got this from that album. I never claimed it as my own. The guy walks in, his father is just going, son, he's passing away. He said, son, before I die, can you bring me some of Mom's apple strudel? And the kid comes back a few minutes later and he says, Dad, Mom says that's for after the funeral.
great
I
show.
do like that. I never heard that one before.
Mom
like
says it's for later.
It's for later.
After the
For later. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
But, or
I'll have to try to find that album.
another one. Hello. I'm dying. Can you send me an ambulance? How much? $25. I'll wait. You got something coming out with somebody else we can share? That was off that album as well. If I remember.
Oh, there it is. I got it, I think. Called You Don't Have to Be Jewish.
You don't have to be Jewish. Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up myself. What is it called, David?
Well, the website is all one word, jewishhumorcentral.com.
No, but the album is
I know, it's in there. It says Jewish Comedy
okay.
on Record. Here. Here. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we're talking about why so many Jews.
This is a daily publication, according to what it says here. Jewish Humor Central.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it says, contact the Jewish Speakers Bureau to book your program and lecture dates for 2018 and 19. Well, 2018 is a little late, but they have to be you have to be in South Florida or the Northeast. So I guess the Omaha Jewish congregation is left out.
That right. Actually, there is in Kansas. Believe it or not, I found out a suburb of Kansas has one of the oldest, most prestigious synagogues and community of Jews. Can't think of the name. It's a suburb of Kansas. And I never would have thought, you don't think Jews in the Midwest.
Well, you know, I did, as I've said a number of times, I used to do book reviews on Voice of America and interview the authors. And there was a book written by, I can't think of her name right now, but it was a book about the Jewish peddler experience and how, and there was a very large group of very short Jews who had settled in Maine, and because the head of the clan or whatever had been selling products all over New England and into the Midwest, and he settled in Maine, and his family settled in Maine, and then a whole bunch of others came up, all part of the same. You know, a family is a large family, and they were all these peddlers who went around. They made their home base like Boston, let's say, or New York, and then they went out from those cities and to sell their wares into communities that didn't have, like, you know, a Walmart, let's say, or whatever it might be. And then they would come back and do this all over again, and so that's why there was sort of this mini diaspora. And it was really funny because the photos that she included in the book of this one particular family, they all looked like fire plugs. I mean, they were all like about 5'1" and about 4 feet wide, you know. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm sure up in Maine, the first snow and they were covered, you know. But it was an interesting story how they came. And the same thing was true in the South, although they didn't get as much snow down there, so you could probably see these people. But in the South, it was, what was his name, who was that Jewish comic who wrote those books. He grew up in Atlanta or somewhere. I can't think of his name now, but he was quite, and then he sort of became a mini celebrity, and he appeared on Ed Sullivan a number of times. After his books came out, and they were all about the Jewish experience in the South. So,
and he was a comedian?
Yeah.
Or well,
he was actually was an, let's say, call him an author first, and then because he was sort of like a Sam Levinson kind of guy, you know.
It wasn't. We've discussed this guy Harry Golden.
That's it, Harry Golden.
He was on Sullivan.
Yeah, I believe so.
He was a writer.
He was a writer and a newspaper. Yeah, only in America. That was the name of it. Right. Yeah, I think he did appear on Sullivan a couple of times, and he was a newspaper person.
Yes.
Yeah. But he talked about the Jewish experience in the South.
Mm-hmm.
So go figure, as one of the great Jewish philosophers said, go figure.
Go figure.
And we've been figuring ever since.
Hey, go figure.
No, it wasn't that kind of go figure. It was a go figure, you know, like go figure.
Yeah, more like that.
Yeah, more like that.
Yes.
Michael, did you ever appear on the other talk shows? Merv Griffin, Michael Douglas, Mike Douglas?
Yes.
Tell me about that. Tell us about that, if you would. Experience.
Well, it was fun. They were both very I don't know what to say. The atmosphere for me anyway was a little. Well, on Mike Douglas, you appeared with a co-host. So a couple of times I did it with Brenner, and then with Merv Griffin, I had a great experience. I did it with Brenner and Steve Landisberg and Jimmy Walker. We're all on the same show. So that was fun, and Griffin was great. You were very relaxed with him, and he was a great laugher. So I had good times on those shows, and I had a great time on the Dinah Shore show because I really made the band laugh. Now, supposedly that's not a great thing. You want to make the audience laugh. Which I did, but I got big laughs from the band, so I was thrilled.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ralph probably did. And you did on the Dinah Shore summer show, because I remember seeing you on one of the episodes.
Yeah, I did. She had a summer show, not a particularly good show.
Well, I remember seeing you come down a winding staircase in a top hat and tails, along with several other, and singing some song. I remember that.
Whoa, could be. I've never. Yeah,
it sticks in my mind, you know. Sort of.
Yeah. I've tried. I'm going to
try to see if those episodes are on YouTube.
I've tried to look them up. I haven't been able to find them. I think they were burned. They were thrown into the fire. The nicest thing I have is a fading little, not a locket, but a little memento from Dinah Shore. It was called Dinah and Her New Best Friends. And she gave each one of us a little thing on a chain at the end of the show. So that's, and
good memory.
Yeah. And
here's my Dinah Shore memory. She did a duet with Frank Sinatra, a medley of songs that it's on YouTube, but it's also on Frank Sinatra's duet CD. And to see it on YouTube is beautiful because they are so great on stage together. But it's one of the all-time great duets. It's like 6 or 7 minutes of, and check that out. That will put a smile on your face and entertain you. Frank is missed. The Rat Pack is missed. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. You went into comedy very early in your life. What influence did they have on you growing up? Did you think they were incredibly funny?
Me? Did I?
Yeah. I'm just wondering how much of an influence Martin
They didn't have any influence on me.
Okay.
I wanted to be real handsome and cool like Dean Martin. That's what I wanted to do.
Didn't we all?
Yeah. I think I really liked him a lot. But
he did some really good movies too. He did some serious movies. Not just sort of comedic things that he did with Martin and Lewis in the Army and all those comedy films. But after they broke up, I mean, he was in I think the Longest Day. He was in that, and he was in I think the Young Lions.
Young Lions was what I was going to say.
Yeah. And,
he did some good stuff. Then he also did. I forgot, it was on not too long ago. He did like 3 or 4. What was the name of it? It was a spoof, really, on James Bond.
Oh yes, he did. Right. I saw a couple of those.
Matt Helm.
Matt Helm. That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it was just.
And there was Ocean's 11 with those guys, which was
the original one. Yeah, the original Rat Pack.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But speaking of stage, when the three of them are on, your eye gravitates to Martin because he just had a way about him that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just looked natural to the point where he was having fun, and. They always tell you when you go on set, well, have fun as you're going on. Isn't that a stock thing that you get as the comedian goes on?
And it's true, but it really is true. Because if you have fun, if the audience feels that you're enjoying yourself,
right?
I think anyway that it will relax them maybe, and it's just contagious.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better than break a leg too. I mean, if I had a choice, I'd rather have fun. You know where break a leg comes from? No.
I've looked this up a few times. I think I'm going to say it correctly. When somebody, like, I don't know how many, 100, 200 years ago, will like curtsy, or even, or kind of bow. So your leg was like, how, you were bending your leg.
Oh.
Yeah, you could, that's it. So take a deep bow, in other words. Or
yeah, I think that's where it comes from. So
so it doesn't refer to the beginning of the act. It really refers to the end of the act.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
right. Or have the experience of having to bow so much because you're getting applause, maybe, and that would cause you to break a leg, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I think. Then again, I could be totally wrong.
It sounds good. Yeah,
it sounds
Did
right.
either of your families have albums growing up, or did you guys have albums, comedy albums that you listened to?
We listened to Vaughn Meader, all the First Family.
Yes, that was one. I listened to a lot of Steve Allen albums, Man on the Street.
Mm-hmm.
That some very, very dry stuff. Don Knotts came out of there. Louis Nye.
Yes, sure.
And Allen himself was incredibly prolific. Not just comedy, but he wrote books.
Music. He wrote a lot. Well, Gleason did too. Gleason wrote music. I'm not sure everybody who watched Gleason knew that he wrote the theme song for the show and some other stuff that was actually quite popular.
Did he write some classical stuff?
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. He had a lot of albums.
Yeah, he did.
Music for left-handed lovers. I don't know.
Yeah, there was something like that. That's right.
Yeah.
People who wore sandals when they fooled around. Strange titles. By the way, I just looked up "Break a Leg," and it says it comes from nowhere.
Nobody knows.
That instead of that, if you wish somebody good luck, that could be bad luck. So you say break a leg.
Oh, so then he's wishing him bad luck, so he has good luck.
Yeah, who knows where it
That makes sense. I think that makes sense.
That does. That's like praying. Some people don't have good results with praying.
Well,
with what?
With praying.
With praying, you say, well, I'll pray for you, but I don't have a good experience of that working very much. You'll probably get tuberculosis or something if I pray for you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it certainly is cheap. Doesn't take anything to do that.
Yeah, prayers and thoughts.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just looked up Dinah Shore Summer Show.
Yeah.
And the answer was, get out of here. Actually, don't even...
Nothing comes up.
About it.
Well,
I think they had a big bonfire. Yes.
It was replaced by My Mother the Car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that? Was that... a brother of Dick Van Dyke.
That was Jerry Van Dyke.
Right.
Yeah, Jerry Van Dyke. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
who was pretty talented. He was a personable guy.
I think he's still alive. I know.
No.
Dick Van Dyke is still going.
Dick Van Dyke is still. He's, as a matter of fact, he's in the new Mary Poppins movie.
That's right. He is. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. He doesn't get on the rooftops anymore. He's too old.
The theme song from My Mother the Car. I sometimes mentioned it to people who thought that I was kidding because it was not a good show. But the theme was sung by Sammy Davis. You could look it up, and it was a great swinging song number.
Really?
Great.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
That is one of those things I've always remembered. My Mother the Car.
My favorite theme song was a great show with Patty Duke.
It's to play the Twins?
Yes. That was a great premise and a terrific song. Patty, you lived in Brooklyn Heights.
See, Brooklyn. See, I told you.
Or something like that. Patty, you lived up in the Bronx, next door to the Horowitzes on Valentine Avenue.
That sounds exactly like the song.
Yeah.
Right? It was going to be a natural.
They tried it out on the Howdy Doody show, but it didn't seem to catch on.
Yes, Buffalo Bob liked it, but Howdy was, he said no.
No, they kept squirting seltzer at it all the time, every time anybody tried to sing it.
But even as a kid, I always thought that when Princess Summer, Spring, Winter, Fall came out.
Summer, fall, winter, spring.
It was going to be a good show, and I didn't know why as a kid I thought that, but early on hormones, I guess.
Well, you believe, as a kid you believe what you see on TV. I remember very distinctly, Clara Bell came to the movie theater around in our neighborhood was called the David Marcus. It was originally the Marshall Lou, but they changed it to David Marcus because he was the first Jew killed in World War II.
Oh, really?
A little trivia question, your point there, yeah. And so for some reason, Clarabelle came, and all the kids went, I went, everybody went to see Clarabelle. Now, whether it was the same Clarabelle who appeared on the TV show, who knows? Because after all, it was a clown costume, right? It could have been anybody. So anyway, so when Clarabelle, and they had an interpreter up there with him, they needed a kid to come up and do something with Clarabelle. I forget, I don't even remember. But so we had one guy who did all the dares. You tell him to go do something, he did it. And so he jumped up and he gets up on stage and he does whatever they tell him, whatever he's supposed to do, wrestle with him, I forget what it is. Anyway, he comes back and he says to us, Clarabelle, talk to me. Get out of there. Clarabelle doesn't talk. Everybody in the world knows Clarabelle doesn't talk. We didn't believe this kid for a minute that Clarabelle actually spoke to him.
That's great.
I think it was Captain Kangaroo who played the original Clarabelle.
Yes, I think he did. I think you're right, Ralph. I think he did. Because with all that makeup, that's what I said, with all that makeup on, it could have been anybody,
Right.
And of course, to get the kid to do what he was supposed to do, we had to speak to him. But boy, we never believed that. I think we were in our junior year in high school when we finally agreed we're not even going to ask him anymore because we know that he's going to lie to us and tell him, yeah, Clarabelle spoke. So we gave up on getting the truth out of him.
Well, that was an excellent memory because not only Clarabelle, but all kinds of celebrities would make these little tours to movie theaters. And I remember going and seeing the Lone Ranger came to one of these openings of his movie.
Clayton Moore, the real Lone Ranger?
Clayton Moore. Clayton
Moore, yeah.
Yeah, and he had the mask on and everything, and he stayed in character the whole time. He didn't just smoke a cigarette before going on.
Yeah, right. There's a great story about Clayton Moore that I used on VOA one time. It's just about, I think it was about the time he died. And there was a famous story that Clayton Moore was driving along, not on silver, but he was in a car, and he came across this couple who had a flat tire. And he got out of the car, and he helped this guy change the tire. And then he drove off, just like the Lone Ranger would do. And the people recognized him by his voice. And so they told the local TV station, and it went viral. It would be in an era before there was anything such as viral. The viral was just a disease. But they had, it went all over on these radio spots. The Lone Ranger rides once again, to this guy's rescue. And he drove off. And it was a true story.
That's funny. That's very funny. Nice that he was that kind of guy who.
Yeah, apparently so. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Do you know who the original Lone Ranger was on the radio?
Conrad.
William Conrad.
No, that was good. That was Marshall Matt Dillon.
No.
Oh, then I lied to Tally the other day. I said it was the guy who played Cannon.
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Who was it?
No. It was Brace Beamer. Was the original Lone Ranger on the radio. And it came out, I think the station was in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. The original radio station that aired these.
No.
What was that?
Is this song like...
Oh, My Mother the Car.
that was
Sammy Davis Jr.
That wasn't Sammy Davis Jr. I couldn't find that.
Oh.
That was just... I thought he did the theme song. I guess not. I guess he did it as a single record.
Well, maybe this was a cover of it.
Yeah,
as they say in the musical world, a cover.
Yeah, Yeah, or maybe this was the actual people. Maybe I was wrong that the theme song on TV was just a group of singers, and that
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned cover. You mentioned cover, and I thought I'd take this opportunity to announce that I am organizing a Sha-Na-Na-Na cover band.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
my wife went to school with Bowser. Went to high school with Bowser.
But they were a cover band, so my organizing a cover band would be humor. But you're the second person in my life who has a connect to Bowser. A woman, a friend, and Facebook friend too, a woman named Jane Gold, or Joan Gold rather, also has a connect to Mr. Bowser. He'd be a good guest. That would be
Bowser.
Yeah, is he from the Bronx?
I don't know.
I don't know
it must be from Queens because my wife went to high school in Queens.
Oh, okay. What high school did she go to?
Van Buren.
Van Buren. Okay, I went to Newtown. We played Van Buren in inter sports.
Van Buren. I've told you the story that we went to this high school reunion, Van Buren High School. Now, if you remember from your history books, Martin Van Buren was a very short guy. So I think in that Van Buren High School in Queens, it was actually a school that you had to pass an exam to get into. You had to be under 5 feet tall, and because they were paying homage to Martin Van Buren, and we went to this. My wife is not tall. We went to her high school reunion, and she was one of the tallest women there, and I couldn't get over this. Yeah.
Is that a coincidence, you think?
I don't know. All I knew is that they must have had a lousy girls' basketball team. Because
right.
It was like Munchkin High. They had nothing. It was crazy.
That's the visual is very funny.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it works well on radio too.
and they weren't allowed to have their graduation party at Disneyland because none of them, were higher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to be so tall if you fit under the gate.
Right. Yeah, they couldn't go on a lot of the rides.
No, what a shame.
Yes. But Martin Van Buren was awesome. No, it was true. I mean, it's
true.
It was just, yes, I'm not making it up. There were all these little tiny women.
A humorist gets something from every interaction.
That's right. Absolutely.
There's always something to laugh
and
at.
And writers don't forget anything.
Right. Correct, in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thank you, guys. Great.
Okay.
I enjoy doing this as a Sunday ritual.
Okay. I forwarded to you both this guy that we were talking off air about, so you should see it in your inbox.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll get him set up.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Yes, you too.
Yes, to everybody.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Bronx Roots, Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Adios.